Okay, we're going to start on Chaf on the Bais, right in the middle of the page. First one on the line is Lireyav. Starts with Afra Hormis, or Ifra Hormis. So the Gemara explains that this woman, Ema de Shvar Malka, she's the mother of Shvar Malka. Rashi says she wasn't Jewish. Her name was Ifra Hormis. She wasn't Jewish, but she was close to converting, and she started to keep the laws of Nidda. And she would even send karbanos. What does it mean she sent karbanos? Because there was no Bais Hamikdash. It could mean she sent gifts. Or maybe she actually tried. I think we had a Gemara that she actually sent a karban or something to Rava. Rashi says that the Greek Ifra means grace.
Means what?
Grace, like chen. Apirya namtila Reb Shimon, like something beautiful. And Hormis, Rashi says is a demon. And so she had the beauty of a demon. This demon, he says, Lilta.
She was seducing.
Is that what it means?
No, I'm guessing.
A wicked beauty. Okay. Shadra Damalakami de Rava. She sends blood to Rava. That means she sends cloths that have blood on it. Aviyasab Ravavadi Kamei. Ravavadi is sitting there. Why do we need to know that? It's a little bit unclear. But Arche, he smells it. Pashtus is that Rava smells it, right? Rava smells it. Amrullah, he says to her, Hay dam chimatu. This is dam chimad. Chimad means that you desired your husband, so you saw blood. Very similar to what we had in the last Gemara where Rabbi Elazar told a woman that it's dam chimad. Over there, Rabbi Ami was there, and Rabbi Ami ran after her, and she said that, oh yes, my husband was away, and I was desiring him. But here, thank you. But here, why do we have to know Rabbi Vadia was there? I don't know. Amrullah Lebrei is supposed to be. She says to her son, who's the king, Shvar Malka, see how smart the Jews are. Amalei Dilma Kasuma Baruba. Maybe it's just luck. Maybe it's just a blind person climbing down a chimney that he happened to make it. Yeah. That's an expression for luck. Sometimes it happens that you get it right instead of falling.
Wait a minute. A blind man going down the skylight isn't hard. Going up to the skylight.
Oh, is that what it is? Going up?
No, I'm just saying. Anybody can fall through a skylight.
It says escapes through a chimney.
See, that means going up to escape. Okay, anybody can fall down. Gravity's
interesting.
Okay.
Can you try again?
Try.
So, he didn't believe. So, Hadar Shadrele Shitin Mini Dama. She then sends 60 types of blood. Vikulu Amrinu. He says what they all are. Hubasra Dam Kinim Havet. The last one was the blood from lice. Valayada, and Rava didn't know what it was. Istaya Milsa just worked out that Beshadala Sirikusa the Makatla Klimi, he happened to send her a gift, and the gift was a comb that kills lice. Amr Yudai B'Tavim Libi Asvisu. Wow, the Jews know, they know the real secrets, what's going on in the heart. There's a few points over here.
Okay, should I quickly?
The big point is that Rava said before that he doesn't look at blood. No, Reb Zera says. We discussed this yesterday. before. Reb Zera says that the character, or Daniel sent me the article says that the scientific knowledge of Bavel causes me that I can't see blood, and or the character of the people in Bavel caused me that I can't see blood. So we asked, was it dependent on the science, or is it dependent on the character? But Rabbi knew the science and he didn't know the blood. So he says, no, it's a kal v'chomer. If Rabbi doesn't know the science, if he knew the science and he didn't see blood, so I should look at blood? Okay. Now, Rashi over there said, when it said, no, not Rashi, Rashi Bais says that when Rava smells it, he says, but we said before, Rava doesn't know blood. See, he learned that Reb Zera was talking about Rava. So he says it was all a miracle. Our whole story was just a miracle. That's Rashi in Divrei Maschal Arche. Tosfos says that before it wasn't Rava, it was Rabba, which is actually the way that we have it in our Gemara. Now we don't have the question, because she sent it to Rava, and Rava did know blood, and Rabba didn't know the blood. Historically, Tosfos would be more accurate, because Reb Zera and Rabba were together, and I think it says that Rabba was born when Rabbi Yehuda died. That's the Gemara says that. Rava was born when Rabbi Yehuda died. Reb Zera went to Eretz Yisrael while Rabbi Yehuda was alive, because it says that he didn't want Rabbi Yehuda to know that he was going, because Rabbi Yehuda held you weren't allowed to leave Bava. So Reb Zera would not be talking about Rava, but Rava, that it doesn't look at blood, because Rava, he wasn't even in Bava then. Okay.
You mean Rav?
No, here. Let me look at it on the chart. I have here. Reb Zera is here in Eretz Yisrael. He was together with Rabba in Bavel. Rabba and Reb Zera. Remember, Kav Rabba v'shachet la Reb Zera? Remember that? So.
What were you talking about? This Rabbi Yehuda from Badisa.
Rabbi Yehuda from Badisa, I'm sorry?
Wasn't he the teacher of Abai and Rabbi?
Rabba. Rabba's the teacher of Abai and Rabba. The problem is that if Reb Zera is saying, I should look at blood, but even Rava doesn't look at blood, that's not so accurate, because Reb Zera wasn't in Bavel when Rava was born, because he left. Reb Zera has to escape because from Rabbi Yehuda. He goes to Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't allow anyone to go to Eretz Yisrael. So he's going to Eretz Yisrael without permission. But he held that the Navi said that when you go to Bavel, you're meant to stay there.
Until your
Until Mashiach.
And he would see the Reish Kalusa.
It was Rabbi the Reish Kalusa. No.
Rav Yehuda. He said,
I don't think
allow
so.
anybody to leave.
No, well, he was the teacher.
He had an opinion.
An opinion, yeah.
People shouldn't go.
Okay.
That Rav Avadia was sitting before Rava. Rava was his teacher.
Right. The question is, why do I need to know Rav Avadi was there? What's the significance of Rav Avadi? He didn't do anything in the story. He just happened to be there. Unless you want to say different. Unless you want to say that he was the one that smelled it.
That's what it says over here. It's unclear which one smelled it, whether it was Rava or his student, Rav Avadia.
So you can resolve all of this by changing the story and saying that Rav Avadia was the one that smelled it because he was there. Okay. There is a Gemara Baba Basra that says that Rava, it says about the peddlers that would go around. It says that Rava allowed Rav Avadia to be a peddler that stayed in one place, and that would now to sell things first. It's that same Gemara in Daf Aleph Bais. So if that's the case, then where did the comb come from? Possibly came from Rav Avadia, was the peddler that they sold little. Okay, and that would explain what Rav Avadia is doing here. Okay, we're holding now. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says we're going back a generation or two. Mireisha habechazina dama. It used to be that I would look at blood, but kivan da amrli emi de Yitzchak brei. Since the mother of Yitzchak, my son, doesn't sound like that marriage lasted, which is possible. I think there's some other gemaras about that. But when the mother of Yitzchak, my son, said, "Hi tipsa kamaisa my sinanla kamaya derabanan," don't bring the first drop of blood to the rabbis. Mishum dezehima, because I guess it means it smells.
It says it's not pristine.
It's not pristine blood.
It's not, other things are mixed with it.
So like chazina, then I stopped saying, because I don't know if I look at the second drop of blood, maybe I'm going to say it's tar. But if I would have seen the first one, I would have said that it's tameh. So I stopped looking at blood. I don't know what happens then. But bein tmei tahira, if it's coming from dam tameh ledam tar, that means after a birth, where a woman has several days that are tameh, and then 7 or 14, and then days that are tameh, that are tahar, dam tayar. So that blood he's willing to look at, because that blood they'll bring the whole story. That's vade chazina. Okay, look at this next Gemara. Yalta, you see. Yalta I see dam lakami de Rabbi bar Bachana. Yalta brings her blood to possibly her father.
Who was she again?
She was Reb Nachman's wife.
Okay.
The Tameh. And Rabbi bar Bachana, I'm sorry, that's Rabbi bar Avua. Rabbi bar Bachana is not her father. Rabbi bar Bachana is a nephew of Rav. First cousin once removed of Rav.
So some say that her father was Rabbi Bar Avu.
Rabbi bar Avua was her father. Yeah, that's what we have on our chart. So she brings it to Rabbi bar Bachana. V'tamila. He said it's tummy. Then he brings it to Rabbi Yitzchak, Rabbi Yehuda's son that we just mentioned before. V'dachila, and Rabbi Yitzchak Rabbi Yehuda says it's tahar. Dachi means tar. The Gemara asks, how was she allowed to do this? But she's rabbi shopping. But Tanya, but it was taught in the Bais. Chacham shetimei. If one chacham says tamei, ein chaver rashei tar, the next chacham is not allowed to change. It's not allowed to say tar. Asar, he says it's forbidden in chaver rashei lahater. You can't do that. If one person paskin, that's over. The Gemara answers me, Kara, Tmuyi have a metamila. Originally, he said that it's tamei. It's talking about Rabbi Yitzchak says that it's tamei. But Kivan the Amalei, but when she said the Kol Yomi have medakila, have madchila, but that every day Rabbi bar Chana would tell her that it's tahar. In other words, that, but Ki Gavna, exactly the same shade of blood. But he mentioned that today his eyes were bothering him. So then Dachila, then he says, oh, yeah, okay, so it's tahar. The question is, mehemne, can you trust a woman to say that, oh yeah, last time it was good, when I showed it to him, he said it was good? Umar says, you can. Bahatanya, and there's a brisa that says, a woman is believed to say, this is I saw that shade of that color, but I'd lost it. And now would that color be Tara Tami? So you see, we trusted to say what color it was and all of that. Okay. A few interesting points here. Taisva says, first of all, Rabbi Yehuda doesn't want to look at blood because the women aren't bringing the full story. So what about everyone else? So he says that they weren't so machmer and they would look at whatever was brought. Or maybe they were more expert and they were able to tell from this blood what it was originally, what the first one was. The big question here is, why is she running to another rabbi when her husband is in the house and she can show the blood to her husband? Rav Nachman.
He's
talking about Yalta. So the first answer you would say is that maybe Rav Nachman doesn't look at blood. Problem is, before we had Rav Nachman Amar Kedama Kaza, he's telling us what the blood looks like. We had yesterday. So maybe what he says, what the color looks like, was not because he actually knew the colors, but that's what he heard from his teacher, Shmuel or whoever his teacher was. Maybe he would be extra machmer and he would be uncomfortable. Libay Naikvu Parish we had before, that his he wouldn't be confident that everything is good. However, don't say, Taisus concludes, that a husband is not allowed to look at his wife's blood if he's a rabbi and can paskin on it. And Taisus brings a proof. Because there's a Mishnah in the Goyim that says that a kohen is allowed to look at any nega except for his own. And then it goes on and it says, and chacham can be mater any neder except for his own. And Rabbi Yeshua adds, and Rabbi Yeshua adds, or for his wife. Now, if the same thing is here, then we should have added one more case that all dam you can't see except for your own or for your wife. This is a raya. The fact that it doesn't say it over there in the Goyim, that's a raya that you are allowed to see your wife's dam. Yeah, that's the chiddush of Taisus. That even though he's not, nevertheless he's not considered biased. That's a chiddush in Taisus, because you could say that no, he's biased.
There's a similar saying: the doctor who treats himself as a fool for a patient.
Give him two.
He's not even learning. He's
I heard a difference. There was a guy that's walking back and forth in the shul and he's talking to himself. I said, why do you talk to yourself? He says, I like to talk to intelligent people. Okay. They asked the question. If the woman says that exactly like this is exactly like this thing, such and such a rabbi said that it's permissible, do we believe her? So Tashema. We just said before, a woman is believed to say, I saw a stain that looks exactly like that color, but I lost it. You see? We do believe her. Gemara says, no. Over there, we don't have it anymore. What are we supposed to do? There's no choice. It's b'diavad. It was lost. And that's our only way of knowing what was here is from her word. Over here we have a cloth that we can look at. And she's claiming that some rabbi, probably that's not in town anymore or whatever, would always say that this is tar. That's a big difference. Tashema. Come and listen. The Yalta, I see Tamalakami de Rabbi Barbachana with Tamila. Yalta, this is the story. Yalta brought her cloth, her dam, to Rabbi Barbachana. Chana was Rab's uncle, and Rabba was probably, his father's name was also Rabba. It was Rabba Bar Chana, and then he had a son, Rabba Bar Chana, and they just call it Rabba Bar Chana. The same? I don't know. You have a Rabba. This is Rabba Bar Chana, but there was actually someone else that's called Rabba Bar Chana. And they assume, we don't know this for sure, but there's an assumption that Rabba is Bar Rabba Bar Chana. That's why it's Bar Chana. Okay. He's the one with all the stories in Baba Basra with the fish, with all those stories. They were found an island. They got off and they made fires on it, and then the fish turned over and they were all in the sea. And if their boat wasn't nearby, they would have all drowned. There was a big fish that looked like an island. But there's a lot of wild stories. So he was also answering questions for Yalta. Then she came in front of Rav Yitzchak Breder Rav Yehuda v'dachila, and he said that it's tzar. Problem is v'hechi avid hachi. How was, we don't finish the proof here. How was he allowed to do this? V'tanya chacham shetimi en chavera shayla tar. You can't make it tar. So she claims v'amrinan, the way we explained it, is tmui havim etamila. That really he said that first he says that it's tamei. But kiven normally the kol yom medaki laki agavna Vayidnu, the Chash Beinei, she said that he would always say that this is tar. Today his eyes were bothering him. So then, Hadadachila, then Rabbi Yitzchak Breder Rabbi Yehuda says that it's tar. Alma Mehemnala. That means that Rabbi Yitzchak Breder Rabbi Yehuda believed her. That Rabbi Bar Chana would have said that it's tar. Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yehuda Gamri Samach. It's not true. He didn't believe her. He wanted to say that it's tar anyway, because he thought that it was tar. He was metamet because it was another rabbi that was metamet. But once he said that rabbi's eyes were hurting, then he was relying on his own knowledge, but not that he was believing her of what it should be. Oh, yeah, okay.
So you could trust Yalta?
Taisus asks that you answered the question only about the Chacham.
Right.
What about Yalta? Yalta's going from person to person.
It's Yalta.
He says that the person is allowed to go rabbi shopping. It's the rabbi that's not allowed to change from what the previous rabbi said.
As long as the person says.
I guess.
They say there's something that says Loisis Goidudu or something. Loisis Goidudu or something. You're not allowed to go from rabbi to rabbi.
Oh, really? I don't know. From Taisus it says, look, take a look at the end of Taisus. It says, "V'yeshem dekpid lehavi yashayel el hachacham, aval hashayel yishel kol ma sheyirtzeh." He could ask any rabbi he wants. Just keep going.
You just have to let them know when you ask them what they said.
Yeah, Taisus doesn't even add that in.
So we rely on Yalta?
Let's say you have a question. You want to know. I don't know. Can you use a Shabbos clock for a coffee maker or something? So you go from rabbi to rabbi. Yes, that's a good question. So you go from ask, and then at the end you'll have a list. I have 25 that say yes, and I have 30 that say no, and whatever. So, you're doing your own research.
So we can believe Yalta, right?
Yeah, we believe the Alta, but only to the extent, only when he was actually, he would have said that on his own anyway. It's not 100% belief.
Is this the origin of the saying, this Yalta to Shmaya? When Yalta heard it. Come on,
Okay.
I got to keep you awake, not just coffee. Give me that one back.
Rebbe, Ra Dam Balayla.
It says over here that when the woman comes, and she says, is she credible? She says, this is the color, and I lost it. So the halacha is, yeah, we do believe her, but it says over here, but there's no proof from this discussion that her statements are accepted. The halacha is that we do believe her, but based on this discussion, there's no proof from here that she.
But that's the comparison is not. That's when she saw something that she lost. That the Gemara said the Gemara accepted that. The question is, if she's allowed to tell us that when I was younger or whatever, I went to Rav Moshe Feinstein. He said that color is good, and now we're going to change our psak because I have this older woman that said that Rav Moshe said that we don't have a proof. Okay. Rabbi Ra Adam Balayla V'Timei. Rabbi saw blood at night. He said that it was tamei. Ra Yomi looked at it again. V'Tiyar, he says that it's tar. Himtin Sha'achas, he waits an hour. V'Chas V'Timei, and he says that it's tamei. Doesn't say that he looked at it again. Amar, he says, Eily Shematisi, he says, maybe I made a mistake for saying that it's tamei. So this was tamei, tahar, tamei, and I said the wrong thing, that it's tamei. The Gemara says, Shematisi vadaita. What do you mean maybe it's a mistake? He for sure made a mistake. Why? Because the Tanya was started in a brisa. Lo yomer chacham. The chacham should not say ilo hayalacha yavadei tamei. If it would have been wet, it would definitely be tamei. Rather, Allah Amar I only know what I see. And since he saw by day that it was tar, he should have left it that it was tar. That's what he saw. The Gemara answers me kara achazke betami. Originally he thought it was tamei, but given the chavel atzafa deshtane, in the morning he saw that it changed. So Amar Vaday Tar Have, it was definitely Tar. But at night I didn't look at it. The lighting wasn't good. However, Kivan the Chasudad Vishtane, but he looked at it again and he sees that it's fading even more. So he says, Amar Hai Tamehu Mefakechu de Mefakach. What did he say? Use it. And it was just gradually becoming lighter.
I thought you said he didn't look at it.
It doesn't say that he looked at it. And that's why the Gemara understood that he just changed without looking at it. And now the Gemara is answering that no, he actually did look at it.
Halachically or practically, could a chacham who does a psak just give a psak to someone, then come back and say, give a psak, stop looking. Like when you lean in the Torah, don't look so, just read the letters.
These are big questions.
Information comes to the Rav that he can change what he said.
Forget there was a Bach that says not to look at it when it's wet. Wait till it dries.
I'm saying, if you looked at it already once, but you keep on, if you have something, you keep looking and keep looking and looking, you just look at it once, give the psak and finish.
Right.
Here it says if the first Rav made an error in his reasoning, the second Rav should discuss the matter with the first Rav until he retracts his errand.
Back to the previous.
What's that saying on that bookmark you have?
Just don't lose your place. Oh, hafachba.
So why not?
So, okay.
People nuts.
Try himself.
Rabbi Badak Laraner. Rabbi examined it to the light of a candle. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yossi Badak Beim Amun, and Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yossi would look on a cloudy day. Beini Amudei, between the pillars of the Bais Medrash, there wasn't so much light. Amar Rabami Bar Shmuel, V'kulan ein beit k'nesel ben chamal etzel. All of them, they only check between the sun and the shade. Reb Nachman, Amar Rabbi Baravua. Reb Nachman says in the name of Rabbi Baravua, if that's Yalta's father, then it's his father-in-law. Bechama ubetzel yadei. That you look in the sun and you shade. You make shade with your hand. So you make your own shade. Okay. Well, he said that it's if you compare it, if it's similar to wine, what type of wine? We said that it's wine that's 2 parts water and 1 part wine, and it was wine of Shironi. Tana started in a Bais Shironi, we're on top of Chafalef, Nidan Kekarmeli Chai. That would be the same shade if it would be Carmel wine that was not mixed. V'loi mazik, not mixed. Chadash, new wine, v'loi yashin, and not old. Am Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Rav Dumi. Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Rav Dumi says, "V'kol nein beit k'nesel b'kais Tiveria." You have to use a glass cup of Tiveria. Rashi says, "B'kais Tiveria shel zechuchas pashut." So he adds in the word zechuchas over there. That was his gersa. Not stained glass. That would change things. Pashut. My timer. What's the reason? Why specifically Tiveria? So Amar Abaya explains. If you have a cup that holds a lug, so you'd use it out of a mana. You use a mana to make that glass. Shnei lugin, a mana is 100 coins. If it's 2 lugin, then you make it out of something that weighs 200 because it's double the size, it's double the material. They make it only from 1 mana, which means that they make it very thin. It's like a crystal, very thin crystal glass. Provided the color shidia beitvei. Since it's so thin, you're able to look very clear to see the shade of the wine. In Chabad, it's very exciting when you start the 3rd parak of Nidda, because when you learn Tanya, it starts off with Tanya b'seif parakim of the Nidda. So everyone says like, "Oh, I always wanted to learn the 3rd parak of Nidda." Okay, you have to wait till you get to the end to see what he quotes. I'm a peles chaticha. So when a woman has a miscarriage and there's pieces of tissue that come out, not tissue paper, but skin tissue. If there's blood together with that sort of birth, what do you call it when it's not a birth? It's just a miscarriage. Miscarriage. So if there's blood together with it, then the tmeya. In other words, it's not a real birth. So only with blood will it be tamei. Vim lav, there's no blood there, so it's not a birth. Birth makes her tummy, or blood makes her tummy. This is not a birth, and if there's no blood, then she's tar. Rabbi Yehuda ben kach tmei. Rabbi Yehuda says she's always going to be tamei. We have to see the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. We're going to explain later that Rabbi Yehuda holds that whenever the uterus opens up, there's always blood, even if we don't find it, and therefore she's tamei. That's the Gemara is going to go through back and forth. Is it this? Is it that? That's how the Gemara is going to say. Hamapelis kamin klipa. If she gives birth to something that's like a shell, kamin sara like hairs, kamin afar like soil, kamin yavchushin like mosquitoes. So like this. Adumin. Let's say they're red. Whatever it is that comes out. Satata lamayim. You soak it in water. Imnimuchu or imnimchu. If they dissolve, then tameya. Then the tummy bimlav. If they don't dissolve, then it's tahira. Just like the first opinion here, that the Tanakama that holds that it's not a birth and it's not blood. Hamapelis kamin dagim. Gives birth to fish, it's something like a fish. Chagavim, grasshoppers, shkatzim, are these creatures, or remasim, creeping creatures. Im yeshimayim dam. If there's blood together with it, then tamei avim lav tahira, like we learned in the beginning of the Mishnah.
I think the reason it's describing these is if you look at pictures of the developing fetus,
it could come out different
early
time.
on,
Right.
They look very reptilian.
Right.
I mean, they even have gills, which then close. I mean,
right. See,
Which one?
nothing is that the well, whatever it comes out looking like. It's
I'll find
at
the
early
picture.
stage.
I'll show you.
Hamapelis min behema chayav ha'if. If she gives birth to something that's like an animal, a wild animal or a bird, this is what someone said. Mary had a little lamb and the doctor fainted. So she gave birth to something that looked like